Cisco and observability through integration. Some interesting stuff coming on before we go into Cisco Live.
I know, and Pat, you and I think Matt, you're going to be at Live next week as well.
Oh, cool! And exciting! I'm so glad you're going to be there. I didn't know that, Matt.
I'm getting a new blazer.
Gosh,
I better bring mine.
God, how we didn't get a picture of Dell Tech World, man. I'm just like, how did this happen? But
we're too famous. That's what it is.
I don't know. We don't want to be overexposed, do we?
But let's talk about observability, full stack observability. And this is something that Cisco has been very keenly focused on with their ThousandEyes acquisition. That really sort of set the table for them. And
hey, Will, can I interrupt real quick? Can you explain what full stack observability is?
Well, it's just about having visibility to network performance and understanding the sort of things that can affect performance, and oftentimes there are gaps that occur as network operators deploy networks and they're deploying security. And full stack observability just brings a level of granularity so that network operators can sort of understand what's going on with their networks. And so this particular announcement is integrating the ThousandEyes platform with Cisco's AppDynamics platform to really enhance what Cisco is providing its customers with digital experience monitoring. And I think this is super compelling because, with modern work, with highly distributed, folks around the world having to work, we have to rely on the internet oftentimes and the internet's availability. And that's where ThousandEyes really comes into play. It provides that level of visibility it's amazing. I've seen the dashboard and, you can see outages on a global map, but then AppDynamics is another superpower that Cisco has in its back pocket there that helps monitor that application experience. Because at the end of the day, you've got to, as an enterprise, provide the same user experience from an application perspective, whether you're on campus, you're in a branch location, or if you're working in Italy, like I was last year. So I think this is really strong, and it's demonstrating Cisco's taking these assets. They're not being siloed about it, and they're bringing these assets together with an integration, and they're creating new value for their customers. And I think that's super exciting.
Yeah.
I thought that at the last Cisco channel conference, they talked about integrating the two observability platforms. Was this something new, or did it go GA, or was this on a different vector?
Well, it's specifically focused on digital experience monitoring and improving that platform's capability.
Got it.
There have been integrations going on, and during some of the pre-briefs for Live next week that I can't share because they're obviously under embargo, but there'll be some additional things that are shared, additional integrations that are going to create, again, more value vectors for their customers.
Hey, Will, one last question for you. By the way, I love AppMan. I think that's I saw a demo of it, and being able to observe and kind of play into performance across the entire app stack is just fascinating to me. But talk about Intersight. Does this eventually all plug in through Intersight, and is this managed up through Intersight, or do these remain separate citizens, or how's that play?
I think you're going to see all of that come together, Matt. So from my perspective, Intersight does play a role here, and I think Cisco's also had some challenges in the past just with orchestration and automation in general, and sort of cleaning that up, because again, a lot of their growth from a roadmap perspective has been through acquisition, and so it creates these stepchildren. And I think one of the things that we're going to hear more about at Cisco is how they're going to sort of consolidate a lot of that and make it easier not only for their partners to sell the products, but for their customers to consume the products.
Oh, great.
But it's a great question.
I love observability. Nothing else that it's something you never thought you knew until you realize you needed it.
Right.
Yeah. And with the fractalization of infrastructure and the fractalization of applications, knowing what the heck is going on, particularly when it's not, in one building, is paramount. I mean, most modern applications are API based, and every one of those APIs isn't served by the company whose application. It could go off to a weather service.
That's right.
It could go off to, check credit score. It could go off and pull in and do some nascent AI type of capability at AWS or something like that. So observability is hot, and 100% think it's headed toward the same way of security, which is, hey, I love all these best of breed observability things, but I don't want to string all of them together. And therefore, I'm expecting consolidation, expecting, right, people who maybe started at the endpoint, moving up the stack, people who started in the data center, adding on application types of things. And I think Cisco timed it perfectly on this. Again, Cisco strategically is just, they're really good.
Yes.
They're a really good idea how to pull this stuff. Now, 3/4 of the revenue is still, don't be confused. 3/4 of the network is freaking networking. Okay. Yep. And they're, but they're additive, collab, observability, security, and stuff like that is rocking.
Yeah, and they're not a one-trick pony, right? So they've got all these opportunities, for growth in these areas, like we were discussing earlier with security. And looking at their recent financials, they grew security fairly well, but they've only gotten started with their cloud vision. So I expect to see more things from them. And
they take a toll regardless of where it is: on-prem, edge, public cloud, sovereign cloud, cha-ching, 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 right?
Right.
That's why I like it. I'm a big fan of hybrid multi-cloud fabrics.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you're a company out there, you need one before your competitors eat you for lunch.